Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast, or it can be Doing Business and Life with a Servant's Heart podcast. They kind of go hand in hand, but you all get it. You've all listened to this show before. And I'm excited as your host, Steve Ramona, to have this show today, because talking to my guest for about 10 minutes before the show, he's going to rock your world a little bit. So be prepared, get that pad and paper out. We dedicated this podcast with the idea of servant's heart, that purpose, how you can go out with your business life and your personal life and make a difference by serving people, helping people, impacting people, making a difference. We're also bringing guests on, like my guest today. He's going to motivate you, he's going to inspire you, and he's going to educate you. You could take that information and share it with others. I also want to thank our sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of a business leaders community that are building a thought leader platform to help grow your business, but more importantly, make an impact in the world. Here's your call to action, audience. I want you to think, it's your homework. So write this down. I want you to think about who you're going to serve, how you're going to serve yourself and others today, what impact you create today. If you're not waking up in the morning thinking about making an impact, change. Because that's what I do, and it's changed my life. It's changed my guest's life. You're going to tell when you listen to them, this is what's happened. So that's your call to action. Listen to this incredible show and go out and serve. With that being said, impact and change, especially nonprofits. We're talking about nonprofits. If you're a nonprofit out there listening, I know there's a number of you, but any business, you want to grow. How about you got a guy that's got many years of experience? He's been through all those pitfalls and problems, and he can teach you how to fix those problems. With that being said, let's welcome Stuart to the show.
Hi, Steve. Thanks. It's an honor and privilege to be here. I'm excited.
Interesting in our conversation before the show, you mentioned people a number of times. How important are people in a business?
They're everything. They're super critical. They are, whether it doesn't matter if you're in the service industry, manufacturing, nonprofit, doesn't matter what you do. It's your people that are going to deliver, and it's your culture that really is going to get those people to deliver in the way that is important to you as the founder, owner, CEO, executive director, board chair, whatever the structure of that is, and really understanding what those core functions you need for your business are. A lot of times people get into org charts and we need a CEO and a CTO and that has its place, but we do work by letters with a nonprofit or a company really about for you to nail and be excellent at what you're doing today. And hopefully you have, or you will do some goal setting where you have 3-year and 10-year. For you to get to where you want to be in 3 years, what are those core functions you have to get there? And then do you have those people that core function is their 20%, it's their sweet spot. It's that part of the Venn diagram that makes them hum. And many times, both in privately held companies and nonprofits, that's the initial gap. Is either they have gaps where no one's owning functions, or the people that are in functions that aren't their sweet spot, so they're miserable, they're not performing well. But ultimately, yeah, people aligned on purpose, aligned on values, behaving around that, that's what's going to drive your business or your nonprofit to grow.
I love that you use the word excellent. You're a rock star, because you can say better or growing or scale, which are good words, but you used excellence. Why did you use that word?
Because that's what you have to be. You have to be uniquely the best at something. There's a fantastic book for anybody watching this today, and even you, Steve, you have read it, called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy. I was fortunate to spend a good part of a day with Ben Hardy with some other coaches, so he brought the book to life. But one of the pieces in there is the whole 80-20 rule, and Most of us spend 80% of our time on stuff that aren't moving the needle. But part of it is both for your company and for you as the leader or wherever you fit in the organization. How are you contributing to, and what is that place for you as the professional or you in that company where you can be uniquely the best at and profitable? And you kind of found that sweet spot, because good is good enough in some planning, but good isn't good enough if you're going to scale and you're going to grow in revenue and an impact, whether that's a nonprofit or for profit. It's really about growing the impact.
What's the name of that book again, and the authors, just so people can get it?
10x is easier than 2x, and it's Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy.
There you go. See, he's serving us already. I love it. So what you do is you have that 30,000-foot view overview of a company. You come in, tell us that journey, what you do.
Yeah. So what I usually do, whether they're already a full growth client, which means I'm going to do ongoing work, or I'm just engaging for a day or two initially with some strategic retreat, strategic planning, is and this is also the sequence, because it's really important. I'll do some work with them on their BHAG. That's Colin's work, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. They define it. That's your long-term goal. I just did one of these a week ago, and for them, that was 7 years, their long-term. Other companies, it's 30 years. So whatever is long-term to the leadership, to the owner, to the board, whoever you're working with, and really get alignment on your BHAG. What are those, why you exist, what's your purpose, what's your values, and then an actual BHAG statement, like examples. Microsoft, when computers were still big mainframes, theirs was, I'm close enough here, a computer in every home and on every desk. And this is at a time there were no laptops, so it would seem impossible. Amazon's was any book in any language available in 6 hours or less. And this is when they're working out of a garage. So really, heck, Nikes, when they were coming up and Adidas was the powerhouse, their BHAG crushed Nike. So everything they did, that's on the competitive, corporate side, was to do this. So really having clear understanding of who you're going to be, how you're going to behave, why you exist. And then we do a lot of really cool work around 3-year goals, but now they're highly achievable goals, where we'll get into financial goals, non-financial goals, the widgets, or if you do KPI or OKR, what you're going to measure to make sure you're getting there. We do work around all that core function stuff I already talked about. And then what are the key capabilities for you to, again, be excellent in Excel today and get to what those 3-year goals? What are those core capabilities you have to have, whether you have them or not? And we always uncover gaps in capabilities, gaps in core functions. Now we've got all that. And then we only plan, when I work with companies, organizations, for 1 year. The world changes too fast. The market changes. Everything changes. So then we do a 1 HAG, or 1 year highly achievable goal, financial, non-financial, refine the widgets, the measurements we're going to do. Through all these levels, we do a lot of ownership. Because without ownership, there's no accountability. Without ownership and accountability, there's never going to be execution. So every widget, every goal, and we never fail, every company or nonprofit I work with, they'll walk out with one priority for that next year, one top priority. And then they'll have a few sub priorities. So we get all that lined up, and then we work on some meeting cadence and software and open playing field to get that execution down. And then we'll begin working on trust and cohesion of the team and identifying it. And then if it's an ongoing relationship, there's coaching every month. And then the 3rd month of every quarter, we dive in with that leadership team to look at the last quarter, set the next quarter. And the really cool way, and companies that do this with coaches, the system, the methodology I pull in is called metronomics. I'm certified in it. See year over year compounding growth of 25, 35, 40, 50%. It works because you have everything aligned. We'll just, at the end of that first year, you never go to year 2. You reset year 3, you reset year 1, you reset. So you're always adjusting for market, for your performance, for where you're at. Are you going from local to national, whatever factors are affecting you? And then we'll dive in. It might be on the people side, do a lot of work. It's amazing, Steve, how many companies don't understand cash. They may have cash flow, but they don't know how much cash they have in the operating account. They don't have cash goals. And we actually map out what drives cash, because cash is king, whether you're a for-profit or not-profit. So that's an example of some of the body work, and then an ongoing, we'll dive into whatever challenges or opportunities they're looking at, or whatever that company's people side, execution work, market side, whatever they need to keep that growth moving forward.
I love BHAG. I
Yeah,
just love
it's
that
amazing.
acronym. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
And you're right. Cash is so funny. They just don't know. And then they go, why am I not? Because it's crazy. And that's what you do. So how important is BHAG for the employees,
Yeah,
for the staff?
that's a great question. It's huge for everybody. I like to say you don't work towards your future should pull you. So if you don't have a clearly articulated BHAG, that long-term goal that's supported by purpose and values, you can nail strategy, but if the strategy isn't aligned to that, where are you going to end up? You can execute yourself right off a cliff. So we talk about cascading messaging and cascading coaching and cascading everything throughout. Depends how big the organization is. Most of the work I do is with head of company and leadership team or organization if it's on the nonprofit side. But we work with them at the end of each day of these strategic sessions. We'll talk about what are those cascading messages. And for all 5 employees or 500 employees or 5,000 employees to know that is critical because their pieces all move up to that and they all know it helps you make long-term decisions that are for that growth versus short-term. Is this project, this sale, this endeavor, is this helping us get to that long-term? So that BHAG, that long-term goal is your North Star, that magnet in the North Pole, flag on top of the mountain, whatever visual works for you. It is super critical that that's aligned and then permeates throughout the whole organization.
And the cascading message is huge because it allows them to buy in. The employee now is bought in. Here's our BHAG. Here's our purpose.
Yeah.
I love that. You're a freaking rock star. What are, when you work with companies, what are some of the things that you see that they're afraid to give up?
Yeah, boy, that's an excellent question. I'll start with a statement. And I think if everybody listening, however many years of experience, whatever your title is, whatever role and function you have, I think if we're all honest, myself included, we're guilty of this. It's rarely about what we have to start doing. It's almost always about what we as individuals or a company need to stop doing. And that is the hardest thing because as I mentioned before with that 80-20 rule, typically 80% of things a company and individuals in a company are doing aren't moving the needle. So that whole getting in the rhythm, having that trust and openness where you can challenge and really begin looking, what are the things that are going to move the needle? There's a really cool thing of that BHAG pulling into the future. And Benjamin Hardy did this when we met with him because we coaches, eat our own dog food, practice what we preach. So we have our BHAGs and our 3Ags. And he said to us, okay, we shared our BHAGs. And he said, what if you have to do that BHAG in your 3Ag? Do it in 3 years. Well, of course, initially you're like, no friggin' way. That's impossible. I didn't think I could even do it in 30 years. That's crazy. But if you keep that dialogue going, usually what can happen is someone on that team will say, well, only if. And that's like your eureka moment. Because what happens with those only ifs, you start raising that ceiling, raising the floor, and a lot of stuff falls out of it. And you really start seeing, okay, here's where we have to focus as a company, as owner, as CFO, as CTO, whatever the different roles are. And how do we get rid of the noise? What do we stop doing? And I did that for my own firm after that. And my list of stop doing, because I was blessed to have Benjamin walk us through it. My fingers just started rolling. And I got rid of some things that were bringing in good revenue because I really started focusing about where I want to go and why am I doing these things that aren't going to get me there. So that stopping is critical. It's a fantastic question.
That's $1 million tip there, audience. I mean, just entrepreneurs too. You could be a $500 million company or a coach, make $150,000 a year. What stop doing like taking those phone calls or watching, we go on and on. We don't go down that black hole. I love that because a lot of people tell you, do this, and that's nothing wrong with that. You're the first coach I've talked to that said, stop doing this. So
I do that if I'm coaching a client or I'm doing the growth services, it's always a important aspect for them individually and for the company or nonprofit.
So that leads to this question. Give us a story of a company that they stopped doing something, talk about their turnaround.
Yeah, so this was actually a nonprofit, and it was shortly after reading the book and doing it all, and we incorporated an aspect of 10x is easier and did a whole, had everybody read it, did a aspect of that book with them in their strategy work. And they actually had can't say what it was, but they had a major initiative they were all geared up to raise a lot of funds for. They had spent enormous amount of staff time and board time on. And because they had the clear BHAG, they had their 3HAGs, they understood where their capability gaps were. They actually recognized, and this was an amazing leadership team that, holy cow, why are we doing this? This is going to take all this leadership time. It's going to take all these resources we're going to have to raise for. At the end of the day, it's going to do some good, but it's not going to get us towards our 3HAG statement, what we're going to be in 3 years, and with that future point. So they were able to take, and they had already done a lot of work, and they had to go back to their board with this, but they had the confidence because of the process, clarity of goals, alignment on them, and tremendous trust and transparency amongst that leadership team.
I love that's well said, because if they didn't have their purpose, they probably would have kept going on with that.
Yeah.
But their purpose turned the corner for them, turned them in another direction.
Yeah. It's easy to be a squirrel running around chasing shiny objects, especially, I won't say business or nonprofit, but nonprofit, you're leading with your heart, and if it's going to do good, let's do it. But ultimately, you're not going to grow in revenue, which is then going to give you the resource you need to grow an impact to really get where you want to go.
Let's talk purpose, because a lot of companies I talk to, probably you as well, it's like, well, our purpose is to be $1 million company next year. That's not a purpose. How do you get your clients, and what tips can you give my audience to find that purpose that really rocks the boat?
Yeah. So love how you frame that. So purpose, there should be no numbers in your BHAG, and there should be no numbers in your purpose. So purpose is different than that long-term goal, is different than your mission statement, whether you're a privately held company or a nonprofit. Purpose answers the question why you exist. So what I'll do is I'll give some great purpose statements that are really meaningful from nonprofits, privately held companies, and then I go through what are some of the criteria about your purpose. Is this something that if you shared with your spouse, your kids, your best friend, would you have pride and joy and so much familiar? This is why you work at this company. This is why you run this company or this nonprofit. This is why we do what we do. Is it compelling? Does it really tell why you exist? Why the world would be worse off without you, and why the world will be and is so much better with you? And that doesn't matter if you're a for-profit or not for profit. So we go, and then we have that leadership team, on their post-it notes, all that process stuff, either write it out or what are some key phrases about why we exist. And then we end up coalescing on a purpose statement that's compelling. And that's another thing that cascades through internally and externally. Like one I can remember, the Pink Cadillac company, cosmetics. Mary Kay. You would think their purpose is to sell $1 billion of cosmetics or make everybody look beautiful or something, because that's what they did. And I'm going to butcher this, so any Mary Kay people out there, I apologize, I have to pull up to get it perfect. But it's something like empowering and building strong women and giving women opportunity to excel in leadership and success. Way better articulated than that. And that's really so they could test everything they did. Yes, ultimately, did they help women make money? Did they themselves make a lot of money? Absolutely. But their decisions about their values to support it, how they operated, what they're going to do, how they're going to treat all the people underneath that are building this up, and what opportunities and challenges you need to give them so that happens. All that was because of that purpose. 3Ms, it's a great short story. It was something on innovation. I can't remember the words. I don't know if you know, because I go through a lot of Post-it notes, how Post-it notes were invented. But 3M's whole purpose was something around the spirit of innovation, okay? And their values were around being an innovative workforce. So there was some guy or gal, engineer, chemist, whatever, who had an assignment to make something as like quick drying, super adhesive. So I'm that guy and I brush it on this piece of paper and I put it here. And what I want to happen is I rip it and this part sticks, right? Because that means it dried super adhesive instantly. What happened was this. If they didn't have that purpose, if they didn't have those values around innovation, I would have crumpled it up, said, ah, shit, I failed, part of my language, throw it in the garbage, and Post-it notes would have never invented. But because they have a purpose around innovation and built values and behavior around innovation, that guy or gal did not say, oh no, and throw it out. They're like, huh, this is interesting. And thus, Post-it notes were invented.
That's such a powerful story because if they have innovation, say their purpose was to have the best paper. And by the way, there was no numbers tied to both those stories you told. Yeah. Just to have the best, cleanest paper, you're right. They would have never developed Post-it notes, which probably made them billions of dollars.
Succeed on your charged goal. I think it was he, doesn't matter. He absolutely couldn't have failed worse.
Yeah.
And what his objective was, it literally came right off. Total, complete failure. But because they lived their values, they had that spirit of innovation, their purpose, it wasn't a failure.
Yeah.
And the company didn't see it. And now, I don't know if it's their highest revenue grossing, but it's their most probably known product is the Post-it note.
One sitting, I think every desk has one sitting there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And the cool thing is this is the mindset from top bottom. If the top's that's not really our thing, or the bottom people, like this guy innovation wasn't part of their purpose. He probably wouldn't have told anybody. He says, I failed and moved on.
He didn't want to let people
because
know
he lived
100%.
it. That's and that's what you do. We're coming now. We got a few minutes here. Give the audience one of your favorite tips of how to become an excellent company.
Focus on the growth of your leadership team, not just the owner, founder, CEO, president. You will not grow if you're ego-driven or the owner, founder, even if the owner, founder is the smartest guy in the room. If so, you need to fill that room differently. Okay? So really understand what your company needs from a capability and function standpoint. Make sure you have right people. I'm a big fan of whether you do Culture Index or DISC or Colby. Under you, everybody can't be an innovator and everybody can't be an implementer. Make sure you have those different frameworks, personalities, expertise, because not only for the expertise and experience, but again, you want everybody on your leadership team, ultimately everybody in your company, but that's harder, working in their sweet spot. That spot that it's their personal purpose, it's stuff they enjoy, and it's stuff that's going to drive that company forward towards your BHAG. So having that diverse team of that nature is huge, and having and really working hard on the cohesion of that team, building that trust of competency, trust they're going to do what they say, because that builds dialogue and challenges and in the right way calling each other out and supporting each other, and then have clarity of where you're going, clear articulated strategy that everybody knows, and a map for execution that you know if you're getting there, not getting there, and how that works. You put those factors together, you will grow much quicker, much more rapidly. And that is a continually evolving, constantly going. And I guess a little pitch, have a coach. If you look at, a lot of times people think, oh, coach, that's if I'm not performing well. And sometimes that happens. The CEO will say to somebody, hey, we got some issues. But no, if you think of the most elite runner or swimmer, what do they have? Coaches. NFL team, NBA team, Final Four, Florida. How many coaches does Florida have in addition to a coach? A coach is going to be that blind spot remover. They're going to be held you accountable. They're going to ask the right questions. They're going to bring in the systems. I rarely, if ever, know the business better than the people I'm coaching. I know how to coach. I know how to help them uncover. I know how to help them strategize. I can see things you're not going to see because I am an outsider with my experience. Coaching is whether it's me or someone else that's good at it, having some individual coaching and really a leadership team coach can be a powerful magnifier. It's not the word. multiplier on the rate
That's it.
and ease and speed of
Yeah.
that growth.
Yeah, that's audience. If you have no reason before, you have a reason now to reach out to him. We'll get his contact info in a minute here. Let's end with a fun question because you're a fun guy. I mean, I know before the show we just had some fun. So I've got a reservation at a restaurant for you, table of 4. You're sitting obviously in one chair. So you've got 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite, whether dead or alive? And what food would you order for the table?
Wow. Well, I got to say my wife, because she probably will listen to this, and I would love my wife to be there, and thank God she is alive. I would invite Pa, my best buddy, like a brother, who I love my dad. He's since passed, but was like another father to me. Heavy equipment operator, blue collar guy, but just one of the most brightest, driven guys I know, and always had, in a real rough, gruff way, great sage advice. And I missed being able to have that dialogue with him. Um, I would bring Lou Adams, who was another guy I did some construction work for. I think he had about a 5th grade education, had the best deductive reasoning of any, I've worked with Harvard, anybody I've ever met. And I'd have my kids there because I just love the hell out of my kids. And I hate that we succeed as parents and they grow up and they leave us and they think they don't need us anymore. And love them to be part of that. And they're older now, so they can engage in that conversation. But I'm that selfish dad that I want to build a compound and force them all to live right here with me.
I love it. So what are we eating at the table?
Probably something good on the vegetarian side, because my wife's 6 years old being vegetarian, but I couldn't tell you what that is because I'm the opposite of vegetarian. Probably some seafood, steak, with maybe some kind of Italian pasta, something, even though that doesn't go. Assuming this is just for pure enjoyment and pleasure, not trying to be healthy.
That's it. It goes for me. Steak, seafood, and pasta.
And a nice tequila on a rock.
I love it. That's a full meal. Stuart, I want to thank you so much. You truly are a servant's heart. Your coaching impacts that. You care about your people. I know people listening want to reach out to you. They got questions or want some information, or maybe even hire you. How can they find you?
Yeah, so my website is impgp.com, like Impact Group. My email is Stuart, Stuart, at impgp.com. And there's also a contact form you can fill out on the website as well.
Yeah.
You feel free to email me directly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and audience will have all the information, as I always say, in the show notes. So, or reach out to me and I'll get you information. You can connect with them. Stuart, thanks again. This has been an incredible show. And audience, incredible shows like this. You know what you can do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I know I hear other podcasts do it, and it's okay. But here's my reasoning is today's was a gift. You've got somebody that owns a business and they're struggling or they want to scale. And they say something like, God, I wish I knew what our purpose was. Share this podcast. Stuart went through it for about 20 minutes, 15 minutes, how important it is and how you find it. And maybe they learn something and they find their purpose. Me and Stuart would be very happy. I'm going to speak for him.
100%. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Or they reach out on his website and they find a resource there, or they reach out to Stuart and he become a client, or he gives them some information. These are gifts of love. This is impactful. I start with the show about impact. Let's end. Let's share these podcasts. And if it's not my podcast, anybody else's. If you're listening to it and it's somebody can get help or impact from that, share that link. But you got to subscribe so you get those links. So with that being said, me and Stuart want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.